You're about to hear an episode of the Bad Crypto Podcast. If you enjoy the show, won't you please take a moment to subscribe and review us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or wherever you hear the show? Thanks. While we are thrilled that so many of you enjoy the show, there's other crypto podcasters out there far more knowledgeable than us. I mean, there's a bunch of them. And one of the ones we really respect for his content and commitment to the crypto community is Peter McCormack. As host of the popular What Bitcoin Did podcast, Peter breaks down the current state of Bitcoin and the future of decentralization with his guests. Today, he's gotten his passport stamped for entry into the Republic of Bad Cryptopia and joins us to discuss what Bitcoin did, what Bitcoin is doing, and what Bitcoin is going to do. And to commemorate this interview, we're introducing a special Bad Crypto non-fungible collectible token featuring Peter McCormack's appearance on this show. These are exciting times to discuss the past, present, and future of Bitcoin on episode number 364 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
And welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast featuring the ghosts of Bitcoin past, present, and future. And there's the ghost of Travis Wright.
Hey, I'm the ghost of Christmas past.
How was your last Christmas?
It was good, but it's in the past.
It's over.
Yeah.
Looking forward. It's only like 300 or so shopping days till Christmas again.
That's true. I'm really excited about that. I hope I finally get a pony. Santa's been slacking.
I'm excited about this freaking episode. Peter McCormack is awesome. The dude's super smart and brought us lots of great content. And we are initiating a new protocol in this episode, Travis.
Very cool. Yes. So here's the thing. So we've done this a couple of times at events. We've created non-fungible tokens, which are essentially digital collectibles. Sometimes they look like a little coin. Sometimes they're a card, but they can be a lot of different things. And what you do is you just need to have your public Ethereum address. And then once we have that, boom, we can send you the non-fungible token. But what's really cool about this is we decided on certain select episodes, we're going to actually create very cool NFTs commemorating that particular episode. So right now we did the first NFT, which was essentially 000 because we were just testing it out. That was the event at Washington Elite. There are 11 of them in circulation only. The first one ever. Nobody can get any more. They're done. The second one we did was actually the first one, according to this. It's NFT 001. That was at the North American Bitcoin Conference. And there are exactly 50 of them in existence.
Ever.
This is the official NFT 002. And they will only be available for the next 72 hours.
And we'll tell you how to get one after our interview. But first, Mr. Travis Wright, let's give a shout out to our show sponsors.
It's Helios. It's an infinitely scalable dApp and decentralized web hosting platform based on DAG blockchains. It's an interesting way they're doing things. We got a great interview with these guys that you're going to want to listen to. It's coming up. Helios protocol is designed from the ground up to be future-proof with secure, high-speed, and low-fee transactions and to enable truly decentralized and democratic applications. It's really interesting. One platform capable of hosting your dApp and website user interface at the click of a button. They're enabling a whole end-to-end decentralized applications to power the next generation of the web. And actually, they're building the next generation of the web. And you can check it out. It's Helios Protocol, HELIOS protocol.io.
Also, shout out to our new show sponsor, SoMe. SoMe.social is a blockchain-based social media platform built for privacy, end-user control, and content monetization. It is censor-resistant. That means if they don't like what you say, unlike Twitter, that'll go, we don't like you, get off our platform. SoMe won't do that. There's monetization options. There's content and curation rewards. There's advertising revenue sharing. Gang, I am on SoMe at Joel.com, have been posting there for months, and I am earning cryptocurrencies. Check it out, SoMe, SOMEE.social.
Show me the money.
They are sewing me the money. You guys check it out.
Okay.
Glad they're on board to be a sponsor of the show. And we're going to tell you more about how to get your collectible Bad Crypto Peter McCormack NFT, but only after this interview. Mr. Travis Wright, do you have any idea what Bitcoin did?
I do. I have a general
What did it
idea.
do?
I've seen it. I've looked at the charts. I've seen what it's done. And that's fine. I just want to know what Bitcoin gonna do. That's what I really want to know.
Somebody should start.
I would be so wealthy if I knew what Bitcoin gonna do and when. And then we would just, be on a yacht somewhere probably.
Well, Mr. Travis Wright, I don't know if I could tell you what Bitcoin's going to do, but we've got a guest with us who can tell us what it did and perhaps where it's going to go, because he is the host of the podcast, What Bitcoin Did, since November 2017. Mr. Peter McCormack, welcome to the realm of Bad Cryptopia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Long overdue. We have met before. I don't know if you guys remember.
I'm trying to remember where that was. You definitely familiar face.
We did. It was in the hallway at Consensus, and you had like a TV crew. You were like a whole crew, and like storming down the hallways, filming some stuff. And I just kind of came over, said hello, we shook hands, and that was it. Very
nice. Oh yeah, we were doing that one. There was some weird documentary that we got asked to be part of, and they were filming us walking up and down that hall. Remember that?
I do. Yeah. In fact, it's really funny because, Pete, when you go on like Netflix now and Amazon, you see all these crypto documentaries, right? Have you been in any of those yet?
No, not really. I don't. It's funny. I don't really get asked that often to do stuff like that. But the only one I have been is there's one that's being made about searching for Satoshi or something. So that was the reason I was in the same corridor as you, because I was being interviewed for that. And like I was sat against the wall, and that's when you guys came past.
Up against the wall. We want to know where Satoshi is.
You got the wall. Sit down.
Well, a little bit about your bio. You've been a commercial director at Evolving Media, the head of digital at Rapier UK, the CEO of Banter.tv, a partner at McCormack and Morrison, and now you've settled in to the crypto space where you're a blogger and podcaster. So we have to know, did we inspire you to start your show? Say no. Say no.
No. No. I tell you, who inspired me to do it. There's a guy called Rich Roll. He's up in LA. He's a vegan athlete runner, and through a weird chain of events, I've told the story a few times, but a weird chain of events, I ended up at a yoga retreat he was running in Italy. Became friends with him and his wife, and I was out in LA, and he's like, "Come and visit me." So I did. And then I was just into the crypto thing. I was like trying to write about it, not very good, trying to trade, getting lucky. And I was like, I think I'm just going to do a podcast. So, yeah, he inspired me. He told me all the equipment to get, and off I went.
Off you went. Very good. And you actually were the head of digital at Rapier UK?
Yeah, so I had like 20 years in advertising. So originally, like I needed a website years ago. I used to have a fanzine. I wanted to build a website. Couldn't afford one, so I learned to build them and like went into the commercial side. So that was a dual role. So what happened was I was a managing director of this company, Evolving Media. I think you've probably seen it on LinkedIn as commercial, and then I like left to set up my own agency, McCormack and Morrison, and we based ourselves in the Rapier office there. So they were a huge advertising agency in London. So I did a dual role. I ran my agency and ran the digital for them.
I just want to make a comment about their name. I don't know that it's the most PC name. I think maybe they might want to go less rapey, not rapier. That's like
it's a really unfortunate name to say, because it's obviously when you say it comes out wrong. But
we're here from way less rapey UK. We're a digital consultant firm, and we don't like to rape at all. Not like those rapier people. We're animals.
At least they're not with rapiest, right? They're the worst of all.
But they're based out of France, though. There's a difference.
So what a rapier is, it's a type of sword. I'm not sure if you know. It's like a type of sword. So I think that's where it came from.
We don't know that at all. We're from America. Does it sound like we know fancy things like that?
I don't know.
And I think,
it's an unfortunate name.
Just for the record here, rape is a horrible thing, and we're not making fun of anybody who has been raped. And you have our sympathy. It's just a strange name. I was just commenting on the name. It's like in the UK, like they could say all kinds of names over there, and some things they can't say at all, or they get arrested. So it's interesting.
different
Yeah,
culture
absolutely.
going on over there.
Yeah, we don't have First Amendment protection like you guys do.
Well, you have gone down the crypto rabbit hole deeply, and I believe you are a bit of what we'd call a Bitcoin purist. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm certainly now focused entirely on Bitcoin. I don't tend to look at anything else now, through a number of reasons, like trading and losing money, also spending time with people who've explained Bitcoin to me and why it matters, and pointed at flaws in other cryptocurrencies. And I've entered the debate, and there's no win in the debate. You're one or the other, and if you don't agree, you end up fighting and wanting to insult each other. So I'd say I'm focused on Bitcoin. That's what I'd say.
So does that mean? Have you had Roger Ver or Craig Wright on your show?
Long time ago. I think they were both in the first 20 episodes. And I did do a second interview with Roger once, but it didn't come out very good, so we didn't publish that. And then since then, no, I've pretty much focused entirely on Bitcoin people.
Mm-hmm. Did he give you the bird and tell you to F off when you?
No, he was actually all right. I actually flew out to Japan and did it with him, and despite people having their disagreements with him, which I can empathize with a lot, and I wouldn't say he's my friend anymore. He writes about me a lot on Reddit, but being a big supporter of Ross Ulbricht and knowing some of the good things Roger did for Ross, and supporting the family with the legal costs and things like that, I probably gave him a bit more time than anyone else. So I was willing to, talk to him, but it's not a healthy relationship anymore.
We're pretty neutral, honestly, and we'll talk to just about anybody in the crypto world. And but I'm curious what your personal position is on, Roger owned Bitcoin.com and @Bitcoin on Twitter when, he was still in core BTC. And then when he forked off to Bitcoin Cash, he has now been using that website and that Twitter handle. And I'm just curious, what your thoughts are on that and how it impacts the industry and the public.
Yeah, so it's a complicated issue, and I got into a disagreement with some kind of Bitcoin maxis about this before because, I had an incident where a friend had phoned me up and he said, "Oh, Pete, finally I'm going to get into the Bitcoin. I'm on Coinbase. Which Bitcoin do I buy?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, there's 2 Bitcoins here. Which one do I buy?" I was like, "Well, it's the Bitcoin, the one BTC." He's like, "Well, what about this Bitcoin Cash one? It's cheaper. I think I'm going to get that because it will go up more." A typical kind of beginners question. And I was like, no, Bitcoin's king, buy that. So then I put a thing out on Twitter. I was like, look, there's 2 Bitcoins. It needs solving, and I think some people confused what I was saying, and they went to the ideological one. There's only one Bitcoin and it's BTC and everything else is a scam. And I got a lot of shit for it, but I was like, the reality is, and it's still there, is that if somebody new discovers crypto and they've been told and they understand Bitcoin, they want to buy it, there's every chance they could buy the wrong one. They could want to buy BTC and end up buying Bitcoin Cash because they don't know what they're doing. So having multiple, it's just not them. It isn't just them as well, right? We've got Bitcoin SV, we've got Bitcoin Gold. We've had so many. I think there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can say, well, it's a free market. You can name what it wants, blah, blah, blah. And Roger is on the belief that Bitcoin Cash is what Bitcoin should be, a peer-to-peer payment. And Craig Wright believes Bitcoin SV is original Satoshi's vision. So in their hearts, they believe they should use Bitcoin. I think personally it's a bit disingenuous. I think it confuses people. I also don't think it's good for them. If Bitcoin Cash was just called Bcash, I think it would be a better name. And I think they would have actually had more success.
Don't call it Bcash.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, it's one of those things, as you mentioned, there's a lot of confusion, not just the Twitter, not just the name of the website. You go to bitcoin.com and it's Bitcoin Cash, or you go to the Reddit Bitcoin or the Reddit BTC. Those are different, and it's very confusing for someone to get in because when the core developers aren't getting along and they say, well, screw it, we're going to just fork off and create our own, and it's created. And then notice that once that sort of happened, the market did take off because here was all these people who had Bitcoin. Now they had an equal amount of Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin Cash at the time was worth $2,000-$3,000 a piece. Then that money flew out of Bitcoin Cash and went into all these different altcoins. Then those altcoins all raised, and then the market went out and funk. It went from $840 billion market cap down to 200 and something billion dollar market cap, over the course of a month in 2018. And it was just wow, like it just rocketed up, rocketed down. Okay, that was a crazy time.
Well, I think the confusion benefits Roger and Bitcoin Cash. I think the confusion of some people buying the wrong one benefits them. But I think I think obviously, therefore, it's a negative for Bitcoin BTC that people are confused. Ultimately, though, I think actually, if Roger had said, "You know what, guys, I disagree with the way Bitcoin is going. I think it should be this. I think I'm going to focus on something else, like focus on it being more peer-to-peer. I'm going to increase the block size, and I'm just going to give it this other name like Bcash or something else. I wish you all the best. Stay in touch." I actually think that would have been a much better strategy for him, because I think having the war has made people turn against him and really criticize him and the project. And I think he's got lost along the way with that. Yeah. So I think
much less vitriol would be thrown his way if he had done something a little more political and with a little more savvy behind it, instead of pissing off a bunch of people.
Well, I think sometimes, but perhaps if you've got a truckload of money like he has, and you have this kind of like these visions that you are one of the reasons Bitcoin's a success, because there is no hiding from the fact in the early days he put a lot of money and weight behind Bitcoin. You can't take that away from him. That happened. Sure. That's fact. And I think he probably thought of himself as somebody who gets to decide what happens to Bitcoin, which is kind of antithetical to what it stands for anyway, right?
Well, and he's also, he's reasonably young. I mean, how old is Roger? In his 30s, right?
Yeah, I would have said so. Late 30s, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, life is long and stuff happens, and you never know what's going to happen. I've had ups, high highs, and I've had low lows, and burning bridges is just never a good idea. Whenever I see people just publicly lambasting others, it seems to me immature. Like, let's let it lie where it is, and time will sort it out.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that a lot myself. It's funny. It's a good timing for you to say that, because, I've been kind of reflecting on my own use of Twitter and tribal behavior and starting fights and things like that. I think this week I've actually gone out and apologized over email or DMs to about 5 people I've been a bit of a dick to. So,
well, you're not alone. I mean, we've all had those moments. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch. The older I get a little better, but Twitter is still my trolley space. I don't really use Facebook for it or Instagram for it, but Twitter is where I post GIFs that just mock people and have a good time with it and burn my own bridges that way. So, like, if, cancel culture decides to come after me for a tweet, 15 years down the road, they can do that.
Yeah. I think there's good and bad trolling. I actually, again, good timing. Yesterday, I interviewed a lady called Ginger Gorman. She wrote a book called Troll Hunting. She was targeted by like some quite ruthless predatory trolls. And, I wanted to learn a bit more about it. So I did a show with her all about it. And she's like, supports trolling. She's like, trolling is some trolling's important. If somebody's done something really stupid, like, that's like egregious, or like, the way I think you got to think about it is the trolling, the memes are actually marketing for why some ideas are stupid or raising things that should be debated. So there's that kind of trolling. But I think the more predatory, targeting people, insulting them, making them feel absolute shit about themselves, trying to cancel people, or telling people you're going to attack them or you hope they die. I think that's the stuff that needs to go away.
Well, now that you're making this confession, I think we know what the title of your bio is going to be one day. It's going to be called "What Peter Did."
What Peter did wrong.
Very nice. Now, I want to ask this one question, because you said something in the pregame that was interesting to me. You basically don't do interviews over the internet. You do interviews in person, and you mentioned you flew to Tokyo to interview Roger Ver. So that's got to be kind of expensive to be making all those flights. And how often are they coming to you, and how often are you going to them?
I think I'm up to it's about 90% now are done in person, and then like 10% over Skype. Yeah, I think I'd have to look. I think I've flown anything from 70 to 100 times this year. I honestly don't know. I'd have to check the flights. Yeah, but I mean, most are in the States, right? So what I'll do is I'll fly to New York and I'll do 5, and then I'll fly to Denver and do 2, and then I'll fly to Austin and do 4, and then I'll go to LA and do another couple, and then San Fran. So usually on a trip I can get like a bunch in, and so that'll take like 2 weeks, and then I'll go home for like 2 to 3 weeks and have those in the bag. And maybe when I'm home there's like 1 or 2 I'll do on Skype or something. But yeah, look, it's expensive, but I prefer the product of a in-person interview, just for like a couple of reasons. I want to get so like your show is like I would say is probably the most fun show in crypto, right? Like you don't take it like too seriously. You want to have a bit of fun with people, but like you interlace that with important questions and topics. Would you say that's fair?
I like that. I mean, Peter McCormack says the most fun show in crypto. We're going to put that on a graphic.
It's going on a card. We're going to milk the shit out of that. Thank you, sir.
But like I say, like and with mine, what's important. I want to get the connection with the person. So that kind of 15-20 minutes you have with them beforehand, or like sometimes it's like a 24 hours. You get to know them. You get to spend time with them, and then when you're in person, do you guys ever do in-person interviews?
Oh yes. Yeah, whenever we can. We go when we go to events. Of course, we try and do interviews on site there, or we do live stage shows where we're interviewing.
I do a lot of impersonations. Is that the same? It's kind of similar, right? Impersonations, yeah, it's very good. Like, all right. Yeah, I like. We used to go to these events and not do any interviews, but then we have a really good device that we take around. It has the 3 microphones and the cords and the whole deal. So now it's like going that. Now we've started to go to different conferences and get a booth, and then we'll have a booth, and then at the booth we'll sit and people will come up and we'll do a lot of interviews that way. So that's been really cool to meet a lot of people in person and chat and have those in-person interviews. So I do get what you're saying. I was just doing the math in my head and I'd be like, damn, that is expensive to travel around that much.
Probably, I don't know, $100,000 on the travel this year. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. It's a lot. I'll tell you a story because this will, you'll understand the panic I had. So I just went out. I don't know if you guys know, I've got a second podcast.
No, what's the second show?
So it's called Defiance. So I cover. I've done a Bitcoin show in it, but like I tend to cover the things that I think Bitcoiners will be interested in, like human rights, censorship, and such. And I just went out to South America, and I went to Bolivia to do an interview about what's going on there with Evo Morales and the political crisis. So I went and I was there for 2 days. Spent 2 days like in Bolivia, speaking to people. Getting to find out what the opinion is on the ground. All my research, and then on the final day, I did the interview with this lady Janice, who's from an NGO which is campaigning for better democracy. Anyway, so we do the interview, and usually when I'm done, I quickly upload it onto my laptop and stick it in the cloud. But I had to go straight away and catch a flight from there up to El Salvador. And I got to El Salvador, and my case didn't come through. I've got like this whole mobile studio, like a Pelican case. And I was like, my case hasn't come through. So I went and reported it, and she was like, yeah, we can't find your case. So they had to take my details. But for like 24 hours, I was like, man, what if this is gone? All that work, everything I'd done in Bolivia, that whole interview would have been gone. Would have lost it. And that would have been pretty heartbreaking.
But it did come through.
It came through. Thankfully.
It came through.
Thankfully.
Somebody was like, oh, damn, look at this Peloton case here. This looks mighty fancy. I think I'm going to take this and sell it all on eBay.
It's not a Peloton case. It's a Pelican case.
Oh, a Pelican case. Okay, never mind. I wouldn't want one of those.
It's not a bike. So you don't ride the case. All right, so let's take a look, now that we're in 2020, let's take a look at 2019. What did Bitcoin do?
Yeah, it's a funny thing you should say that. So I went out today and watched I don't know if you know, there was a massive football match on, like our football, not your football, soccer match. Liverpool were playing in the World Club final. So I went down to this bar in Austin and met up with a few Bitcoiners. I was with Parker Lewis from Unchained Capital. I was with Michael Goldstein, just a few others. And I was like, the funny thing is, I think if you say crypto, everyone feels like it's been a bad year. Still a bear market. No one's making any money. But I say, if you take all the crypto and you just say Bitcoin, it's like, well, isn't it up like 70% this year? Lots of cool stuff's happened. Lots of cool devs happen. Like cool companies are growing. Casa are growing. BlockFi's growing. Like if you take Bitcoin on its own, I'd say it's been a good year. I think if any other company had grown 70%, you'd be like, that's a home run. That's a good year.
I think it's more than that, right? Didn't Bitcoin have a low of around 3,200 in January? And full disclosure, we're recording this before the 31st of December 2019, even though you guys are hearing this in 2020. But, we saw it go as high as almost, 13,000 and landed around 7,200. So that's 100% gain right there. Yeah. That's more than 100%.
I'd say it's been as someone focused on Bitcoin, I think it's been a great year. Like I'm really happy for what's happened with Bitcoin. I'm really happy personally, like what's happened with, all the work I've done. So yeah, for me, like I look back at 2019 and think, what a great year.
It's been quite a ride. Crypto goes up, crypto goes down. We're having fun. I really enjoy watching what's actually happening in the development of blockchains around the world, right? We're seeing China build their own cryptocurrency. We're seeing a lot of different companies using blockchain. We're seeing old school companies sort of adopt blockchain and do things. And these new NFTs, these non-fungible tokens that are popping up. Aside from just straight Bitcoin, which is what you normally cover, what are some of the other things within blockchain or some of the things that have happened, development with smart contracts or games or something? Like, what are some of the areas or some things that excite you about maybe some of the other areas of the space?
Do you know what? Like, I don't look or pay much attention to any of it. I used to, in terms of just like getting into Twitter and having like Ethereum versus Bitcoin wars, but like if I'm really honest, I don't look at any of it. I genuinely I couldn't tell you what's exciting that's happening outside of Bitcoin because I don't pay any attention to it, and so that's a really hard question to answer. So let me answer it a different way. What I think, some of the things I think have been really good this year is I love the growth of podcasts. As a podcaster myself and you guys doing podcasts, like the whole podcast industry has grown, right? Which gives opportunities for people like us to create businesses and careers and create really cool content for people. I think that's been really cool. And I tend to then look at some of the companies that I think are really interesting. So BlockFi, like full disclosure, are a sponsor, but I think the work they've done in lending and borrowing with Bitcoin has been really interesting, like the financialization of the industry, and there are other companies like Unchained Capital, they're doing it as well. I think Casa, who aren't a sponsor, I think what they've been doing with their work and developing their Casa node and key management, I think that's super interesting. I think Lightning really turned a corner this year. I think a lot of the UX work where they've kind of abstracted away all the like difficult stuff in the background, that's really, really interesting. So I think I'm looking towards 2020 and thinking, right, Lightning's really developed well. We've got really good sustainable businesses that are being built on Bitcoin. We've got the halving coming. I think like 2020 is going to be a big year.
This is cool. You actually do, I was on your website, What Bitcoin Did, and you do something that Pat Flynn, who is a big podcast, you just talked about podcasting exploding and doing some really cool stuff. And then also John Lee Dumas of the Entrepreneurs on Fire. He has used to do this. I don't know if he still does this. Pat Flynn does not. So you actually will do this on your website where you'll do a podcast income report available for every month. You'll talk about the how much you brought in, and then you'll show how much your profits are. What led you to do that? Is it just sort of the transparency nature of blockchain and Bitcoin? What was your thoughts? What created that?
So there's a couple of things. So back when I worked in advertising, when we launched our agency, we had this idea of launching a transparent agency. So like with our website was our first website was a to-do list, all the shit we had to do to launch the business. And like as we did them, whether it was employing people or like creating our website, doing our branding, we would tick it off on the website and then create a blog about it so people could follow the creation of the business. So I've always liked transparency. And then I used to listen to Entrepreneur on Fire, the John Lee Dumas show, and read his income reports. And then I actually used the Pat Flynn course as well, his podcasting course, as like a tutorial for mine. I always direct people to his. And so when I got my first check, I was like, I really think I should do something like that. You know what crypto's like, right? It's full of scammers. Everyone accuses everyone of being a scammer. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to do like an income report. Everyone can see who my sponsors are, what I'm bringing in, what I'm spending. And so I wanted to be transparent. But also there's a couple other things. It's like I share that journey with my sponsors. They can see, it's not like I'm just making all this money and spending it all on like Lambos or anything. I reinvest in what I'm doing. So like next year, I'm going to be moving into do more video, and I show them where I like redirecting the money so that you kind of create this story of the journey you're going on, which is great for the sponsors, but also the listeners as well. Like, So that's another reason. And then also, if anyone wants to get into podcasting, I think it's something useful that they can do. And I think the last reason, it gives me a bit of like accountability to myself, because I'm a podcaster on my own, right? I spend most of the time in my bedroom or in my office in my pants, just like trying to plug my show. So by creating like this transparency report, I have accountability to myself each month to keep performing and, creating a good product, and so hopefully something that's profitable.
You podcast in your pants? Is that what you said?
sometimes.
Yeah, because the best podcasters do it in their underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, Travis, I hate to put this image up there, but he's not wearing any underwear right now.
No, I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. Because it's actually like 60 degrees today. And it's December.
Pants for us is different for you. Like for you, pants is trousers. Pants for us is like your boxers.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair enough then. Yep. So you're, you could be hanging loose and nobody knows the wiser. That's the beauty of
Just like
audio podcasting.
They have no idea.
Just like chips are fries, but what are fries? What do you call French fries there in the UK?
We call them fries and chips. They've got two names.
I see.
Well, there you go.
Support stuff.
But we call chips crisps.
Right. And you've got bangers and mash.
Yeah,
right?
Bangers and mash.
All that wonderful stuff. Well, you mentioned the halvening. So let's talk about that. With the halvening due to happen in May, I almost feel like it should be like a Chinese New Year, that the halvening should have an animal, the year of the halvening. It's represented by what beast? I don't know. Litecoin is the chicken. What would Bitcoin be? So looking at the honey badger, right? There you go. Honey badger don't care. It's going to have anyway. There's no stopping it, right? There's no other event in the financial world that is dramatic as a Bitcoin halvening, right? You could do an IPO and a company goes public. You could do a stock split, but that the value of the company is still the same. But the halvening is a really unique event. So, what are your thoughts on it? And do you think, I'm not asking you to be a financial advisor or make predictions that anybody's going to hold you to. You're not going to have to eat your dick if it doesn't go to a certain price, by the end of 2020. But what impact do you think it's going to have?
Yes, a good question, because I've not lived through one where I've actively been involved in Bitcoin. I first discovered Bitcoin in 2013 with the Silk Road, but and then I just kind of fell out of love with it. So I've not been through one. So I don't know, it's kind of exciting. There's all these talks of that the Bitcoin halving's priced in or it's not priced in, and nobody knows. I like that Plan B stock to flow model. I think that's kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. But all I know is it's going to be quite exciting to see what the impact is. My expectation is it's going to be good for price because we're going to have the daily supply drops from 1,800 to 900 fresh coins on the market. So I think that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how it impacts. But I also I don't know about you guys found this, but after getting so obsessed with price in 2017 and then 2018 sucking so much, I've stopped kind of caring about the price. I don't look at it. The only time I'm aware of the price is if somebody tweets about it. I don't check it anymore. I don't trade anymore. I don't buy and sell to try and follow the market. What I do is I just only accumulate. So every month I'll stack a few more sats and grow my Bitcoin holding. And my own personal strategy is I'm not going to sell anything for 10 years. So I'm going to get through at least 3 of these halvings before I even consider selling any.
That's amazing. That'll be a fun adventure to see how much that's going to be at that time. Because we've seen some of the statistics. 10 years, we're talking at least 100,000, as much as 1 million or more, depending on 3 halvenings from now.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be amazing.
Wouldn't be too horrible at all. So let's talk about some of the most downloaded shows or some of the best guests, maybe some of the funnest interviews that you've had on what Bitcoin did. If somebody was going to say, hey, let me hear, what couple, 2, 3 episodes would you most recommend that somebody has got to hear if they were to listen to your show?
Oh, yeah, good question. Oh, gosh, it's really hard though, right? I bet you hate that question. It's really,
there's so many. By the way, I noticed that on your page right now, you've got your show with Nick Szabo. He wouldn't come on our show, and he wouldn't come on our show because we had John McAfee and Brock Pierce on our show, and he didn't want to be associated with those people for whatever reason.
Interesting. Well, Brock's been on mine once when I did a whole series about Mt. Gox. So I interviewed Jed McCaleb, and I went out to Japan and interviewed Mark Harpelas, and I had Brock as part of that. And that's the only interview I've done where somebody lost their cool. I'm not really, I can get in fights on Twitter, but it never really happens in a podcast. But that one kind of went a bit weird. Nick Szabo getting on was obviously amazing because I think that's the first solo interview he's done. He did one with Tim Ferriss, which was which was with Naval, but Naval did it was at least half that interview. I think this was the first solo one. Yeah, it was a really great one, actually. The three of them together was pretty cool. But yeah, so getting Szabo was a bit of a coup. There's a few others. Like I read. So my first interview with Lynn Ulbrich is a really important one for me, because that was the first time afterwards I've kind of realized, like, this is kind of serious. These are important subjects. Talking about guys in jail for the rest of his life. So that's an important one for me. Fun ones. I did one with the, I don't know if you ever used to watch Bitcoin Uncensored with Krista Rose and Junseth, but they had a falling out and they hadn't talked for years, and I managed to get them in a room together and we did like 3 hours. So that was great. What else? My first one with Andrew Polstra. That was quite. So I went out to Boston when at MIT there was like this expo on, and I had a planned one with him, and he's super technical and I'm not. And I watched his presentation. I was like, what am I going to talk to him about? So I threw away all my questions, and we just sat there and jammed for an hour. And it was like that was kind of a cool one. But there's so many. Like I did the ones with Balaji were great. One I did with Andreas Antonopoulos did like over 100,000 listens, which is unreal. So that's obviously a special one. I know it's so hard to choose. If you give me long enough, I'll probably end up listing all of them.
Well, don't do that, because then we'd be here forever, and that would just be weird. Is there an interview that you did that you thought was going to be one thing and you just were super surprised it became something completely different?
I mean, yeah, the Polster one, as I said. There was another one I did. The one I did with Balaji was great. I don't know how much you guys prep. Sometimes I will go in with like a whole list of questions prepped, and other times I'll go in cold and we'll just talk. And with Balaji, I had loads of questions, but my first question was like a tee up, and I can't even remember what it was about. It was something to do with like AI and stuff. We ended up doing an hour and a half on that one point alone. So that's the only time I've actually split a show into two. That became 2 shows. I've had like 3 or 4 I've done where I've ended it halfway through because I don't like the way it's going. I don't think sometimes maybe the guest or even I'm not coming across well.
Well, that's all the time we've got for you today, folks. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, fuck that boring British guy. So like I've had a few like that. Have any been? I don't know, actually. That's the kind of thing I'd have to go look through the list and try and remember. It's a really hard question. Have you guys had ones like that?
It is, because you do so much content, right? How many shows are you doing a week?
I do 2 a week on this. I essentially release 3 to 4 shows a week.
Okay, so we do 3 bad crypto shows each week. One of them is our bad news episode, and 2 of them are interviews. And so, here we are, having done over 360 regular episodes, 50 crypto spotlights, a bunch of specials, and it's a lot of content. And it starts blurring together. My brain can't contain it all. I'm glad we're recording it for posterity, because otherwise I would forget so much.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, you're right. It all kind of blurs into one. And yeah, I guess the Polster one, like I say, I went there thinking I'm going to talk to him about all this techie stuff. And then I just realized I was out of my depth. So we just ended up just like jamming it. And it's kind of this funny combination of me not knowing what the hell I'm talking about, him being like a hardcore Bitcoin core coder. And it just worked. Like so many people listened to that interview and loved it. So yeah, that was a cool one. Actually, I tell you, there was another one. There was a really interesting one. So I'm from the UK where we don't really have guns, right? And coming to the US, guns are a big thing.
Well, you're in Texas now. You're literally.
Well, yeah, I'm in Texas. Yeah. Well, Travis, I imagine you're a gun guy.
You know what? I'm an American, and I was also a veteran in the U.S. Army. So, I have studied the Constitution, and I know why we need to have guns, and so that's why I do.
Well, let me tell you. So I tell you what happened was there was another one of these shootings, right? And I just went on Twitter going, Americans, like the rest of the world doesn't have guns. Look, you don't know why have you got these stupid laws, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of shit because most of my audience is American, saying, look, you don't understand the Second Amendment. You're a slave. You need to be, you don't want to be free. And, we need guns to protect ourselves. If we have a totalitarian government, we used them to kick you out years ago. Yeah.
And we actually use it. We actually use the UK as an example, because you don't have the Second Amendment. Second Amendment protects the First Amendment, and you don't have the First Amendment. So if you guys say something rude on social media, they can come and arrest you and put you in jail. if they say something that the narratives aren't approved of by whoever, or you go and videotape some court thing that's not that they don't want the news to get out, then they'll put you in jail over in Britain. And so it's like, it's one of the things. The second protects the first. Yeah.
Well, and I'm being sued by Craig Wright at the moment for calling him some names on Twitter. So anyway,
from Australia though, right?
Well, yeah, but he's based in London, so he's suing me in the High Court. But look, anyway, so what happened was I was like, okay, there's a lot of flack on this. I'm going to go and learn a bit more about this. So I did. I went up to Wyoming, spent some time with some people there, and then I ended up recording a show with Ragnar. I don't know. Do you know Ragnar? He's like long-haired Bitcoin guy. He's like,
is that his real name?
Yeah, Ragnar Lith. I can't pronounce it.
Dude, Ragnar Lothbrok was this badass Viking explorer king back in like the 900s.
Well, he's got a podcast. It's like Guns and Bitcoin. So, So anyway, we were at this event together, and we'd like clashed a bunch of times on Twitter. And I was like, come on, let's just make a show. Let's talk about this. And it's one of my favorite shows. That's easily like a top 5 show of mine. And we had a great conversation. We got on really well. Anyway, at the start of the interview, I'm asking about why guns are important for him. And he tells me, and he's never talked about this public. So like, I feel honored that he felt like my show was a place he could do it. But he talked about how his father had committed suicide at the hand of a gun. Like he'd just taken his life with a gun. And yet he is still not anti-guns, and why? And that really shook me up in terms of an interview. Like even now I'm going kind of goose pimply because I wasn't prepared to be told that. And yeah, I don't know. It gave the show a lot of compassion, and yeah, I just wasn't prepared for that.
So, Pete, I notice here on your website here, The McCormack. It's a new show. It looks like another show. So you're like, I need to do all the podcasts. What's this new show going to be?
It's just, that's not going to be that's going to be every now and again I do an interview which doesn't fit in. It's not a Bitcoin show. It doesn't fit in a Defiance show, but it's like somebody I want to talk to. So, that's just for like other stuff. So I did one with my buddy Rich Roll. He's the reason I podcast, but like he's a vegan athlete, and he campaigns for global issues. It doesn't fit in either of the others. I mean, you can make an argument for Defiance, but it's it's more of an broader kind of topic. So there's other people I want to interview and talk to. So that's really for that. It's like a dumping ground for the other stuff. And do you guys have like somebody you'd like to interview? It doesn't have to even mean crypto. Is there do you have like people you think, I would love to sit down and interview that person?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And, sometimes we've had people on the show that are loosely tied to crypto, but to the ideals that, crypto backs. For example, we had G. Edward Griffin on a show here at the end of last year. We've had John Stossel on the show, talk about his experience in the media and, his thoughts on crypto. And so, if we can fit them somewhere into, hey, this person is super interesting to us, and we also want to get their take on crypto, then we want to bring them to our audience.
Yeah. So I have, but there's people like if I could interview anyone, it would be someone like James Hetfield or Axl Rose, right? Just like put it out there, the most coolest one I could ever get. I mean, it probably never happened, but if it did, that's not going to fit in either of my shows. So I want to put it into that. And so that's why I'm launching
Noel Gallagher. Yeah. I want you to interview Noel Gallagher. That would be hilarious.
Oh,
that guy is so funny.
I've got Axl Rose on speed dial. Let me just call him and ask him if that's
I actually met him. I met him in London it was about 2 years ago. He ended up doing this private chat to like 200 people at this Chinese embassy place. And my friend used to do a lot of work in China, so he got us into it. And I finally met him. Like Guns N' Roses was the first band I saw live, so he's like a minor hero of mine.
Very nice. Well,
are you pulling that up, Mr. Joe Com? Welcome to Bad Crypto. I thought that's what you were doing. I was like, I got him on speed dial. I thought for sure you were going to play it.
No. We actually have a parody song that we created a couple of years ago that's to the tune of Welcome to the Jungle. In fact, we'll play it here on the way out of this interview so that people can enjoy that. But we encourage people to go check out Peter McCormack's shows, What Bitcoin Did. .com, because you want to know what it did, what it's going to do, and he talks to people who can help you understand that. So, Pete, thanks for coming on today.
And good luck with the Chiefs, man.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks again, Peter, for coming on the show. And we hope that you're feeling honored because our new proof of listening protocol that can identify, people can show that they've listened to a podcast because they have claimed the unique NFT that has been designed especially for it. We're about to tell you how to get it.
That is true. And the thing about this, folks, is like it's really cool. We're going to be able to test out a lot of stuff with these NFTs. Imagine having your own Republic of Bad Cryptopia ID card, right? You can prove that you're a member of the Republic of Bad Cryptopia.
Like a passport.
Cool. Yeah, it's like a passport kind of thing. So we're going to be testing that.
Card-carrying member. So not just like a virtual member out there somewhere in the ether.
That's true. You know, because Joel and I are technologists, right? And we like to play around with technology. That's what got us into blockchain in the first place. It's not just because crypto is going to the moon. It's because, wow, this technology is interesting. It's doing cool things. So think about NFTs as like the next level baseball cards or the next level Magic the Gathering cards. They're available on the blockchain. You own them. You can verify that they are yours, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that pop up on here, right? There's a lot of fake goods that come out of different countries that are counterfeit, that aren't actually real goods. And so you can put them on the blockchain, attach an NFT, connect them and say, this is your item. This is your Gucci bag. And here's your proof that this is your Gucci bag. So if you want to resell it later on, there's going to be proof on the blockchain. So this is cool stuff. So
let's give a couple examples of ones that are active now, Travis, right? There's crypto kitties.
Mm-hmm.
Those are non-fungible tokens. Each kitty is its own unique design, one of a kind, and somebody owns it in their wallet. And on the CryptoKitties exchange or on OpenSea.io, you can sell those to other people and then they own it. What's another one?
Well, I want to actually expand on that because Crypto Kaiju, who we've talked about before on the show, they've actually created a physical Crypto Kitty that they sent each one of us, and it's 7.5 inches tall. It's like a really cool, real physical item that has an NFC token at the bottom, so I can scan that, and actually it interacts with my phone with an NFC field. Not
NFC,
communication.
and your NFT,
and it's
NFSW.
That's true. And there's an NFT that's connected to it on the blockchain. So I just think this stuff is really interesting. And I believe we're the first ones, Mr. Joel Comm, to do anything like this when it comes to a podcast, because we are offering a non-fungible token on special episodes of Bad Crypto. Not every one. We're going to make it. We're not going to tell you when they're coming out or when there's going to be a new one. You just have to listen to the show and be one of the first people in those first 72 hours to go and claim it.
Well, I mean, there's, as long as you claim it in that 72 hours, you'll get it. So you don't have to be the first one to claim it as long as you do it. So the idea here is what we call proof of listening, POL, right? And so you don't know when we're going to offer them. So you got, if you listen to every show already, but that's why we love you. And we're going to do some kind of rewards, Mr. Travis, right? And I'm not exactly sure what they're going to look like yet. So don't hold us to this. But what we've been talking about is, let's say that you collect 5 NFTs from our proof of listening campaign and you share your Ethereum wallet with us that shows there are the 5 tokens. Well, then we'll send you a special Republic of Bad Cryptopia NFT that only you'll get. It won't be something that anybody else can claim. We'll just issue it to those wallets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you collect 10 or 20, and then maybe we send you a Bad Crypto shirt or something. I mean, there's just different ways that we could reward this thing. And we want to say, hey, we want to have interaction with our fans. And, we're in crypto. Let's use crypto. Use NFTs. Let's test this stuff out because this stuff is fun, and that's what we do. So, Mr. Joel Comm, how do folks claim their one-of-a-kind What Bitcoin Did episode 364 NFT?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Go to badco.in/NFT. Stands for non-fungible token. badco.in/NFT. Now, depending upon when you're hearing this, it might already be gone. It could be bye. So you'll have until February the 4th at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So if you hear this show after that, you missed it. But and you won't be able to get it unless you buy one or trade with somebody else who has one, right? Because they own it. And I don't know how many, I don't know if 1,000 people are going to claim this or only 200 or 10,000. We have no idea, because I know Peter's probably going to tell his audience about this appearance as well. And they're super engaged. And, but you have to be there. And if you go to the website and you're like, it's not there, that's because it's gone.
Yep. And you can only get one, because this form actually says what's your name, email, and then you got to include your Ethereum address. So please only get one per person. That's what we want to have. And that way, this is going to be fair for everyone. Everybody has a chance within those 72 hours to grab one of those bad boys.
Yeah, don't be crappy and try and scam the system. We don't, those.
We're trying our best to actually make sure that doesn't happen, because in creating one-off QR codes, and we're really working with the dude from POAP, XY.XYZ, Patricio Worthalter. He's really great. He actually created this thing called Proof of Attendance Protocol, which is if you are at events and you can prove that you are at this event. And we're working with him to create the Proof of Listening Protocol for podcasters to, engage with their user base in an interesting way.
In fact, we do recommend that you use his app. And when you go to the website, you'll see there's a poap.xyz. It's available for both Android and iOS for your iPhones. And it's a great way to store your collectibles in there. badco.in/NFT. And Mr. Travis Wright, speaking of cool things that are on the internet, we have had our friends from upland.me on the show before. That's a location-based property trading game we've talked about that lets you own real world properties on the digital blockchain, right? So, there's an address, maybe the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco. Well, you can't actually own that building, but you can own the representation of it in Upland.
That's true. Yeah. What's interesting is that, it's kind of like Monopoly, but it's using real world addresses, using blockchain technology. You actually get, deed to the property. You can then Google that address on Google Street View to see what that place actually is. We started it on Monday, on January 27th, but users of Bad Crypto, you actually get a double sign-in bonus whenever you come through this link. So if you go to badco.in/Upland, instead of getting 3,000 UPX tokens, you're actually going to get 6,000 when you sign in via mobile. So make sure you're going through this link via mobile. It doesn't work on desktop. And what's cool, they actually provide crypto in and allow that. And they're going to allow some crypto out, eventually maybe some fiat out. But it's a cool game. You can buy UPX tokens using the mobile web, and you can buy UPX tokens with cryptos.
Excellent. Mr. Travis Wright, this is an exciting show, and I know that we are already scheming for our future shows what NFTs we're going to be offering. And this all comes about at an interesting time, because we are in 2 weeks from now going to be at ETH Denver here in the beautiful state of Colorado, ethdenver.com. And we're speaking and doing our show there. Last year, we did our show right before Andreas Antonopoulos took the stage. Now, we know that Vitalik Buterin is going to be at ETH Denver, and we also know Joe Lubin of the Ethereum Foundation is going to be there, and we are trying to see if we can get one or both of them on the show.
And actually, when we were talking about that POAP.xyz earlier on about claiming the NFTs, that's where that protocol was created. The Proof of Attendance Protocol was created last year at ETH Denver. This is where the biddlers are, the people who are creating and utilizing blockchain technologies in cool and unique ways. They are doing it at ETH Denver. It's not Den ETH. Some people are calling it, I can't wait to go to Den ETH. I'm like, Den ETH? That's where Mike Tyson likes to go to get pancakes.
Wait, I want to hear Mike Tyson order the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
Hey, hi. Well, yeah, I'm really glad to be here, Denny. I'd like to have the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. If you could add some blueberries on that.
That's great. And shortly after that, the following week, we're going to be in New York for NFT.NYC. This is the definitive annual North American conference on NFTs. And we will have at both ETH Denver and NFT.NYC another unique proof of attendance non-fungible collectible from Bad Crypto. So if you're at either one of those events, make sure you see us so that you can claim this collectible.
That might actually be I think, we've got them planned out of which ones are going to come out here over the course of the next month. But I believe this one will be, this event right here, or actually the What Bitcoin Did, episode 364. This one right here is NFT 2. I believe NFT 3 will be Denise going to get pancake because we love pancakes. ETH Denver will actually be number 3. Then I think we have a couple other ones planned that's going to come out. And then NFT, NYC, OPP, yeah, you know me. That's probably going to be NFT number 5 or number 6.
Super fun. Mr. Travis Wright, we're breaking new ground, and you in the Republic of Bad Cryptopia are breaking it with us. You'll be able to say, I was there. Like, remember the time when, before everybody did these non-fungible tokens for their podcasts and YouTubes? Remember that time that those guys at Bad Crypto, that they were the first ones to do this? Yeah, that was badass. In fact, I've got the first one they released from their episode in my wallet. Oh my gosh. And it's worth nothing, but It's cool.
You're breaking new ground while Mr. Joel Comm breaks wind.
Oh. I shouldn't have had those.
Wow, those iFart apps are so incredible these days.
Shouldn't have had those beans last night. That was horrible. Thanks for listening, gang. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the goodness from the Bad Republic of Bad, wherever we are. Stay farty, because that's bad.
That's true.
That's pretty bad.
Welcome to Bad Crypto, badcryptopodcast.com. We're talking everything blockchain and the shitcoins that you own. What news will get you wrecked? What coins are gonna moon? Just sit back and hold on. You'll get that Lambo soon. Bad Crypto Podcast.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.